Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Tim Tikla. Thank you to all the subscribers and viewers. Thank you so much. Today I'm gonna give you an idea how much the rent in Australia and how much to buy a house in Australia. Because maybe some of you wanna go to Australia one day, or maybe you wanna send your kids to Australia. So this video gonna give you an idea how much to live in Australia. Sorry, I need to speak English or Tagalog this time because some of my subscriber don't understand Visayan language. So just bear with me, okay? So how much really the rent in Australia? So in Australia there's if you are a migrant, you need to rent in a private. So you can find it to realestate.com.au. So they have houses there. Example, usually how houses in Australia, it depends where you're gonna live. So like for example, you wanna go to Sydney or Melbourne. Usually Sydney and Melbourne, they're quite expensive because everybody go there. And the like for one bedroom house, the range is like 450 a week. Here we pay 450 um 450 a week. We don't do like in the Philippines that we pay a month. So here we pay a week. So if you don't pay a week, then you're gonna be kicked out. So and then you need to sign a list. You can't just say that, oh, I'm not gonna live here anymore, because if you it's not applicable that here. It's not like in the Philippines that kung ayaw mo, dalhin mo lang yung gamit mo and then go away. So it's not like here. You be into trouble. You're gonna be into trouble if you just go away without following the contract. So usually the contract here, it's like 1 year. Some private, they do 6 months. It's depends. So um um that's for one bedroom house. And two bedroom house, like if you have kids, you need to pay around. Okay, we just talk about we not talk about Sydney or Melbourne. We talk about where we live. Like we live here in Western Australia. So one bedroom here is quite cheap because we're not in the big city. So the city is like 2 million something, 2 million people living here. So the rent is quite cheap. So here the one bedroom house is like 250 a week. So kayo na mag times. I'm not good in mathematics. So 250 times 35, because the dollar this time is only 35. So yeah. And the two bedroom house, like this one is two bedroom bungalow house. We rent this one, it's like from 300 to 350, something like that. It's depend on how new or old is the house. And then the three bedroom house is like 350 to 450. It's also depend of how new or how old is the house. On it's also depend kung malayo sa city or malapit. Especially dun sa mga houses na like millionaires houses. Like malaki ang rent pag doon ka nakatira. But it's good if you belong in the millionaire suburb. We call it suburb, like a barangay, because usually your neighbor are millionaire. So you be imaginary millionaire as well. So so yeah, actually we're living in government housing, because if you're a citizen you can apply for a government housing. So actually we're living in quite expensive suburbs. So we're lucky because if you renting government housing here in Australia, you only pay like 25% of your salary. So if you're earning like 50,000 a year, because usually that's the minimum like it's minimum wage here, like something close like that, 50 grand. So maybe you're just paying like $12,500. I'm not sure my mathematics, but I think it's something like that. 25%. Yeah. Hindi ko po here, hindi mo here it's good to live here because you know, schools and hospitals. If you become citizen here as well, you get free hospitals. Like if you need to go on a surgery or whatever accident, then you're covered by you're free. So you don't need to worry about paying lots of bills. Also also to buy a house here, it's really quite expensive. Like buying a house here is from 300 to a million or more. It's depend on how 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 big or how much you're willing to buy. So if you're in a millionaire suburb, you expect 800,000 to million. So I don't know. um so people here work like 25 to 30 years just to pay the mortgage, and it's really stressful to do that. Like if you're a married couple, you need to work together, because if only one salary, like your wife and your husband only earning like 1,000 or 800 a week, so it's not gonna be enough to pay the mortgage, because it's really high, the interest. So you need to work together to buy a house, because it's quite really expensive and stressful. So most Filipino here, they buy a house, and but they decide some of it that they don't have a job, so they need to force to sell their house, because you know, you don't know the future. Sometimes people get sick and people get old, and here if you get old here, you go to age to like a kid, you go to age care. We call it age care here, but other term is caregiver. So if you go to that caregiver, you need to sell your house, because the bond money is like 300 to half a million dollars. So if you don't have the money, you're forced to sell the house, and you'll be homeless. I mean, you be homeless then. So no, you're not homeless actually. So when most Filipino here that been working all their life, usually they go back to the Philippines, because it's nice to go and live in the Philippines, because you can talk to your neighbor. Here you can't even see anyone. See, there's no one here. I mean, look at the street. There's no one here. I mean, you can't even say hello, or you can't even see your neighbor. So in the Philippines, you can go to the neighbor and chika chika and chismis chismis all day, and then you can just buy a street food. Here there's not even street food. You know, you need to catch a bus or you need to drive. It's just too hard. It's just too hard here, and that's why people choose to go back and retire in the Philippines. So hope you enjoy, and hope you so yun na um one day maybe you gonna work here, or your kids gonna study here. If your kids gonna study here, don't worry, they have called share house, so they can you can the kids can share with the other kids. So I think they only pay like 150 160 a week. So I know it's really expensive to study and live in Australia, but it's worth it though, because once you study in Australia and live in Australia and you build up your career, you'll be fine, because the salary is quite good too. So so this be at the end of the video, I'm gonna show you some example of the houses here, so that you gonna have an idea. You know, it's not imaginary. It's not imaginary. So this street And houses, the houses there, they're attached to each other. And this is the street here. They're very quiet. This is the example of houses here in Australia, guys. So some of it they're old, like they're 40 years old, and some of it are new. So this is the street here in Australia. This is the called street, and like every house here garage, and because they own a car. So there's a sample of apartment there. So usually people got some gate somewhere like that. So that's the example of bungalow house there. Australian, this is the typical Australian house.